I'm paying for dinner tonight.
자꾸 옆에서 I'm buying. 내가 살게 하니까 정말 따라가서 먹고 싶은 그런 작은 소망이 있습니다. 자, 탁대리가 했던 말, I'll pay for the dinner tonight. 문법적으로나 뭐 표현 전혀 이상 없죠. 제가 오늘 저녁 사겠습니다라는 말인데 이 pay라는 말, 지불하다, 계산하다는 말이 어떻게 들으면 조금 귀에 거슬릴 수가 있죠. 그래 이런 경우에 좀 더 편안하고 친근한 느낌을 주기 위해서 be on이라는 표현을 씁니다. 그래서 dinner's on me tonight. dinner's on me tonight. 저녁은 제가 사는 거예요. 아니면 I'm buying. 제가 사요. Or you can say it's my treat. it's my treat. 지난번에도 한번 한 표현인데 탁대리가 살짝 긴장해서 놓친 부분 같습니다. 자, dinner's on me tonight. dinner's on me tonight. 오케이. 자, 이어지는 두 번째. 한국 음식 드시고 싶으세요? My mouth is already watering. Can you believe this? 한국 음식 드시고 싶으세요?
Okay, we looked at this, of course, at the beginning of the show. What does Mr. Talk say? He says, how about Korean food? Do you want to eat? Do you want to eat? Well, I think so. That's kind of a general question, you see. Do you want to eat? Well, of course I want to eat. So that's a little bit awkward. How about Korean food or how about some Korean food is fine. How about is a good way of suggesting something. And Talk is making a suggestion. So, how about some Korean food? But do you want to eat? Now it's confusing. Remember what we learned at the top of the show? Are you up for some Korean food? Or, of course, like some of our guests suggested, do you want some Korean food? Would you like to try some Korean food? Anything like that would be okay.
Okay, here Mr. Taka did a fairly good job. First, how about Korean food? So when you're making a little suggestions to someone, you can actually start with how about. 아주 좋은 표현이죠. 뭐뭐 하는 게 어떠세요? 뭐뭐는 어떤가요? 라는 식으로 상대방의 뭔가를 추천하거나 권유할 때 how about 아주 좋은 구문입니다. 자, 이때 조금 아쉬운 부분이 있다면 Korean food 앞에 some을 넣어주는 거죠. 한국 음식 좀 어떠세요? How about some Korean food? Good, right? How about some Korean food? 잘한다 칭찬을 했더니 그 다음에 바로 그냥 실수를 하고 마는군요. 다음에 do you want to eat? 먹고 싶어요? 배고프니까 있죠. 자, 이럴 때는 이런 말보다는 한국 음식 드시고 싶나요? 라는 말로 전체적인 의미를 다 포함시켜서 Are you up for some Korean food? One more time. Are you up for some Korean food? 이 표현이 조금 생소하다라고 하시는 분들은 Do you want some Korean food? Would you like to have some Korean food? 하나 더 있었죠? Would you like to try some Korean food? 이런 표현으로 여러 가지 상황에서 골라 써보는 그런 재미도 한번 느껴보시기 바랍니다. 야, 탁대리. 두 번째 문장까지 완성을 했는데요. 이제 세 번째 문장 또 어떻게 우리가 만들 수 있을까요? Let's check it out.
Okay, the third thing we're going to look at here, Talk says, so you didn't eat Korean food until now. So you didn't eat Korean food until now. Now, we can understand this perfectly well. I know what he means. Everybody can understand him, but it sounds a little bit rough. It doesn't sound natural. Until now, up to now, before now. You didn't eat. Well, we often use the present perfect. You've never had. So you didn't eat until now. So you've never had before. You've never had or you've never done 뭐뭐 before. The best thing to say here is, so you've never had Korean food before. Now we use have food or try food or even eat food. So you've never eaten, you've never tried, you've never had Korean food before. One thing I want to point out. Now in Korean, when you translate it literally, you use the word experience. You've never experienced this. We don't really use that word with food. We usually say eat food, have food, or try food. You've never experienced Korean food before? It sounds awkward. I don't recommend it. Try it, eat it, or have it.
자, 테드 선생님의 설명이 좀 길어졌습니다. 그만큼 중요하기 때문인데요. 탁대리는 So, you didn't eat Korean food until now? 라는 식의 말을 썼죠. 지금까지 한국 음식을 안 먹어본 거죠? 우리말로는 전혀 이상이 없어요. 뭐가 이상했나요? 라고 물어보신다면 제가 친절하게 답변해 드리겠습니다. 자, 이때 지금까지니까 과거의 어떤 경험을 쭉 얘기하는 거죠. 과거부터 지금까지 해서 우리말에는 없는 영어 시대가 있습니다. 바로 현재 완료라는 건데요. 이 현재 완료는 과거에 시작된 일이 현재까지 영향을 미칠 때 쓸 수 있는 표현입니다. 그래서 이때는 didn't eat 대신에 so you've never had Korean food before? You've never had Korean food before? 이런 표현을 쓴다는 거죠. 자, had 대신에 tried 또는 eaten 이라는 단어를 써주셔도 좋고요. 음식은 experience, 경험하다라는 말과는 어울리지 않습니다. 그렇기 때문에 you've never experienced Korean food before 이런 식의 말은 쓰지 않는다는 것도 참고로 알아두세요. 오케이. 자, 이렇게 해서 오늘 중요한 탁대리에 대해서 모두 살펴봤는데요. 중간에 어떤 종류의 음식 먹고 싶으세요? 할 때 What type of food would you like to eat?
Right. What type of food, what kind of food, or like we looked at, what are you up for, what are you in the
그렇죠.
mood for? But what type of skit do we want now? We want to see a skit with everything done
Exactly.
perfectly.
Right version of skit we're talking about here.
So let's check it out and see if we can get it perfect this time.
Dinner's on me tonight. Where would you like to go?
Well, thank you very much. It depends. What type of food would you like to eat?
Are you up for some Korean food?
Absolutely. I have always wanted to try Korean food.
Really? So, you've never had Korean food before?
No, but I've heard it's delicious.
Okay then. Let's go out for galbi tonight. That's barbecued beef ribs.
Sounds great to me.
네, 저 마술사 임윤희와 함께하는 언어를 섞고 끼고 맞추는 이 시간 Mix and Match. 오늘의 미션 문제가 뭘까요? 기대되시죠? 처음부터 너무 도발적인 눈으로 쳐다보니까 여러분들은 아마 부담스러워 하시는 분도 계실 겁니다. 하지만